Hey, I'm out at the Claremont answer plot. It's the first week in September. I was scouting for diseases here all morning, was unable to really find much of anything, but I definitely found some nutrient deficiencies that I'd like to share with you. So for some of you that are experts or veterans, first I'm seeing this deficiency. This is a nitrogen deficiency showing up. The thing that I'm noticing here that's a little bit abnormal is I'm seeing it really high in the plant, right on the ear leaf or a leaf or two below the ear leaf is how high that nitrogen deficiency is coming up. The other thing that I'm seeing is I'm also seeing some of these deficiencies. Okay, so this would be kind of the onset of a potassium deficiency. You can see how that's different than nitrogen because the leaves are firing along the edges of this particular leaf. And actually the interesting part is this is on the same plant. So I'm seeing nitrogen and potassium deficiencies on the same plant. So let's talk a little bit about those deficiencies. Remember, when those nutrients get in the plant, nitrogen and potassium are both mobile. So what the plant does as it fills that ear, it's going to take all the nitrogen and potassium that's stored in those stalks or that it's been using throughout the season, and it's going to start putting that up in the ear. When it puts it up in the ear, what will happen is it'll have to take some of the sulfur that is not mobile in the plant from the top part of the plant and move it down. So we need this nitrogen, potassium, and sulfur right at that ear to try to make those proteins into sugars and starches and convert that plant into to make that test weight in that ear and fill that milk line out. What I would like you to scout for in your field, and I'm seeing this a lot throughout the countryside, is those nitrogen and potassium deficiencies. But then I also look you to look at the top part of the plant. You probably can't see it with my camera behind me, but the top part of the plant will start showing some yellow deficiencies, and that would be an indicator of some sulfur needs tissue samples that we've been taking. And go back in time and look at those tissue samples, and Winfield United will provide the N to K and the N to S ratios at that specific times to try to dial in your macronutrients, so when we get to this grain fill period that we're not seeing the firing as extensive as we are. Now, we don't have as much of a tip back as what we would expect with some of this nitrogen deficiency, but there's definitely some areas in the plot where I am seeing more tip back than what's showing in this particular area. So pull back those ears. Any kind of nutrient deficiencies, you probably will see some tip back or some late season kernel abortion because of that, but just some things to note for and scout for that we're seeing in the corn plants.